This episode of the Sara podcast is sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Born from the tragedy of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been honoring America's heroes ever since. Donate $11 a month at t2t.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.
We've got a lot to get to today. I'm actually in the Rio Grande Valley again, one of my favorite places on earth, because why? I'm covering the stories that many in our media are not covering. I'm out here. There's a few reporters out here on the front lines, and I'm telling you, this is the front lines. There are thousands of people pouring across that border, people from all over the world, over 100 countries, folks, coming through that border. And I've got a lot of updates for you. There's a lot of information that you're not getting, information that you need to know about, because this is not just about what's happening here in Texas or Arizona or New Mexico or California. This is about what's happening to our entire country and to the people that are being brought into this country illegally to live in the shadows, many of them victims of the drug cartels and human traffickers. And by the way, many of those drug cartels and human traffickers are operating on our side of the borders. We're going to get to that shortly. I also have a very, very good friend and very special guest, someone that you all know and love and listen to, and that's Luis Elizondo. And he is back to update us on what is happening with the UAP report, what is happening in Congress as far as UFOs. These are unidentified aerial phenomena. Remember, Lou was at the forefront. He is at the forefront of breaking these stories, and he is breaking stories here on the Sara Carter Show, because there is a lot of information that he has, information that you don't have yet. And Lou's going to go through everything with you, even his struggles against those inside the government that do not want him to talk. And we've seen what the bureaucracy can do. We've seen over the last 6 years what the bureaucracy has done to our country. We don't want to be there again. So that's just a little bit of what we have planned for you today. But I want to tell you, without our great sponsors, we would not have these great shows, and we would not be able to inform you. And one of those sponsors is AMAC, and that's the Association of Mature American Citizens. Remember, AMAC believes in fighting the good fight against reckless government spending and the ever-expanding scope of the federal government. What were we talking about? The ever-expanding scope of the federal government and the bureaucracy. Look, this is a company that cares about small businesses, cares about securing the borders, supporting our military and our veterans. It's an organization that actually stands for the flag and believes in kneeling before God. By joining AMAC, you're taking the first steps to saving the America you love. AMAC offers an alternative to just about every benefit that other organization, AARP, offers, but without the liberal agenda. I stand with AMAC, and I hope that you will too. I encourage you to join today. Go join them. It's fantastic. amac.us/Carter. That's amac.us/Carter. You will not regret it. The benefits of membership are great, but the cause is even greater. Join today at amac.us/Carter. So I want to start with the border. I mean, I know all of you out there, you care about your families. You're watching what's happening to our country. You're seeing the disintegration of our laws right before our very eyes. It's like lawlessness. It's almost as if we've become a part of the smuggling process. And by the way, I'm not the only one saying it. I'm talking to Border Patrol agents. I'm talking to Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers, the DEA, the FBI, Mexican officials, Guatemalan officials. The United States is basically perpetuating what is this horrific tsunami of human smuggling into the United States. It's not the fault of the majority of those people that are coming here are poverty-stricken. They are coming with children. They don't even know really why they're coming, other than the fact that they believe and that they have heard, and this is coming from them directly, that the Biden administration is not turning anyone away and that they are welcome to come in here. If they can make that crossing, they will not be turned back. They actually believe that President Biden, I actually believe that President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris wants them here, wants them in the United States. right? Because we wouldn't see the thousands of people coming across that border. I know you probably watched me on Sean Hannity. Several weeks ago, I was down here as well in McAllen along the border, and I was in a place near La Jolla and near Mission, Texas, where we were on a trail and we found this woman and her 2-year-old child, and she was just bleeding. She was bleeding profusely. And she was out there. She was sick. She was bleeding from her nose. Her child had a cough. People were sick. They were coming up the trail. We couldn't even call in for an EMT right away because we weren't getting service. We were on the Rio Grande. Then when we did get service, we were getting 911 in Mexico. I had to give her water. I had to clean her up. You know, this is every single day out here. This is every single day on the border. For our Border Patrol agents, our law enforcement officials, and by the way, for the American people. And what I'm going to talk to you about right now is tough. You know, because we are seeing NGOs participating in this, you know, in the smuggling process. Now, look, Catholic charities, others, they want to do the good deed. Maybe that's what they want to do. They want to help, you know, this humanitarian crisis. They want to try to resolve the crisis. But I'm telling you right now, a lot of these NGOs are exacerbating the crisis. And many of them are lining their pockets with money. And that is what's happening out here. We also have Department of Homeland Security Secretary coming down here, Alejandro Mayorkas, who is just an embarrassment to the DHS and to the men and women he represents, an embarrassment. Because he does not do anything to stop this. He doesn't tell the truth to the Biden administration. He's too busy politicizing this crisis for his own benefit. And he's coming down here to the border. And guess what? While he's here at the border, you know what I've been hearing all this week? He's actually arriving today as I'm doing this. He's probably flying in right now on some private plane. And he's going to have a very small press briefing, by the way, in Brownsville, which is not in McAllen or in this area. But let me tell you what's happening. Border Patrol agents, DHS officials, let's just say that in general, ICE, as well as others that I've talked to out here, even state and local police, have been told to clean up the mess in McAllen and Mission. Just get these people that are crossing the border. By the way, last night, hundreds of people, when I arrived in La Jolla late last night, hundreds of people were being processed by Border Patrol, and there were buses out there. It's much different than it was before. We're seeing the people just get picked up and taken away. And then they're being taken to a park. They're being taken to Anzalduas Park, which is out here. It's a city park, which, by the way, has been closed off from the public. Why? Because Catholic Charities has taken over the park. They have cut some kind of deal with the city. They have taken over the park to house the migrants, but they've taken over the park so that we, the media, cannot see them. It's only by invite only. Okay, I got to tell you this. I get there. I'm with my cameraman, right? It's hot. It's yesterday. There's this big sign. It's the first sign you see on your way into Anzalduas Park. Okay, this is a city park, mind you, for the community, which has been closed off. There are these massive tents, which we can't even see from the road above. They're behind the tree line in the park. And this is where they were housing all the migrants. According to the people and the sources I've spoken with, the majority of those migrants have tested positive for COVID. The other migrants that they can't house there because it's overflowing now, folks, overflowing, are being sent through the United States. Some of them are ending up in Houston, some of them in San Antonio, some of them in Austin on buses. In Laredo, Texas, the mayor's fuming mad. He's gone public with this, saying he can't take any more migrants. And guess what? The migrants that I spoke to last night said there are 12,000 more people in a caravan that were just behind him. 12,000 more. I have another source in Mexico that says there are 60,000 people waiting on the border of Mexico and Guatemala to head to the United States. That's breaking news right now. I don't think anyone else has that. My source is right in that camp. I have other sources inside Panama telling me there's 40,000 on their way going through Panama. I want you to think about that. Think about it. And it's not just COVID, folks. It's other illnesses. And if people aren't being checked, they're not being examined, they're coming into the United States, they could be coming in with multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. They could have other issues, AIDS, other issues, right? And this is tough. It's tough for both the migrants. It's not their fault. You want to put the blame on someone? Put the blame on President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Put it on them. It's their administration that's opening the floodgates. And now they are trying to actively hide it from you and me. Actively hide it from you and me. Let me read you the sign that's outside this. By the way, Anzaldúa State Park is beautiful. Just to give you a description of it, it's got beautiful trees, mesquite trees. It's along the Rio Grande River. I was there many times. You know, they have Father's Day picnics and games and all kinds of things. Families go there to barbecue. It's along the Rio, and right across from there, it's really interesting. There's like another park on the Mexican side, you know, on the Reynosa side. And in 2013, 2014, I remember when I was out here, they would use the park to transport back and forth. Like they'd be on jet skis. I actually took pictures of this. I saw it. I covered it for the Blaze then. But like people would jump on the back of jet skis and they'd have their drugs on the back of jet skis, or people that they were bringing into the United States. And they'd come from that little park in Mexico and try to zip zing all the way around and drop people off on the other side of the river on our side. And they'd be running through the park like while people were picnicking. It's like, hey, can I have a bite of that chicken, or can I get that enchilada? And then they'd keep running, you know? And the Border Patrol would have to chase them. They would have to chase them through the park. They'd send the helicopters. They'd have their ATVs out. So the park is, once again, this is the border, right? And this is what happens. But the border is so far worse than even when 2013 and 14 when I was out here. Let me read you this sign. I know I keep saying I'm going to go and then I go to something else, but this is what it says. Anzaldúa Park is closed. Authorized personnel only. For information regarding family members, please contact Catholic Charities. And they gave their number. So if you have family members there, you can call 956-510-2200 because that's on the sign. I want you to think about this. This NGO has control of the park. When I get up to the front gate, they've got private security at this city park, right? Private security. So we can't see anything. I say, who do I need to talk to get into the park? And this lady, she leans over to me and she says, you need to contact Catholic Charities. Be sure to contact Sister Norma. Okay, she didn't say it like that. She was really nice. But I felt like I was having like a Godfather moment, right? You know, I was like, whoa, why is Catholic Charities in charge of this park? What's going on here? You know? What's going on here? Why aren't we allowed to see how many people are being brought into this country? I mean, these are our taxpayer dollars too, right? I mean, it's not just donations, you guys, to the NGOs. NGOs all across the board in Central America and in the United States are making big bucks off of this human tragedy. You know what would resolve this humanitarian crisis? If we shut down that border and we tell the governments in Central America and South America and all over the world, look, we're not going to put up with this. And we find a way to work with them and we build strong bilateral relationships where they have an economy that flourishes so that their people can work and live in their own nation. Do you think these people want to risk their lives months at a time trying to get into the United States? This is the last great nation on earth, by the way. There is no other nation on earth where you will see people risking everything to get here. But we cannot sustain this. This is unsustainable. You understand what I'm saying, right? This is unsustainable. Where are all these children going to go to school? What about the hospitals? The hospitals here in Texas are overflowing with COVID. I have a very dear friend right now who is very ill and hospitalized now from COVID. And it's scaring me. I feel terrible for them. And I see that the hospitals here have that same problem. But let me tell you this. Why is it that the Biden administration is asking us to wear masks, asking our children to wear masks, talking about lockdowns again, folks, talking about shutting down the schools again because of the Delta variant or whatever, but the border is wide open. And let me inform you of this. I have been hearing from sources all along this border that at least 30% of the people that are crossing are COVID positive. So if they're that worried about COVID, Why are people being shipped all over the United States with COVID? A lot of these folks are not being tested, are not being tested. In fact, I was talking to somebody at the DHS. There was an incident that occurred a couple of days ago here where there was a group of people, a few of them had tested positive for COVID. Then they were put on a bus and sent to another city 4 hours later. 4 hours later. And those were the ones that were tested. They didn't lock them up. Do you know that they can't hold them in those tents? You know that they're the people that are in those tents right now at Ansel Duas Park can leave whenever they want. They're not being held prisoner. They're being held there and given clothes and given money and given a plane ticket. I've been on the plane with a lot of them. When they're flying out here, out of our local airports, they're carrying their manila envelopes. They've got, everything packed up. They've got some money to spend. They've got a cell phone. But I want you to think about this. What about our homeless Americans? What about them? What about the people that can't get an ambulance because the ambulance are all, being taken up by all of the incidents that are happening on the border? What about our community? What about Americans who are here? I've got to tell you, this is not an anti-immigrant issue, but the Biden administration is creating a lot of divisions by doing this. I mean, what is the purpose for letting all of these people in? And we're talking this year alone, we're looking at 2 million people coming into our country. We are talking about 2 million people. I just want you to think about that. Nothing beats the feel of a luxurious towel. I was thinking about Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell's been out there doing his thing, holding his symposium and selling his American-made products. He is a good friend, and he is somebody who I believe fights for the right things, and that's why I love his towels. I love supporting him. I love him being a part of this show. So thank you so much, Mike Lindell. When you step out of the shower, you wrap yourself in one of his towels. It is nothing but the best. With the MyPillow towel set, every MyPillow towel is highly absorbent and soft to the touch without any of that weird lotiony feel. And they come with, get this, a 60-day money-back guarantee. Each towel set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and a washcloth 2-pack. For a limited time only, get the MyPillow 6-piece towel set. Get this. It's regularly $109.99. You can get the whole pack right now for $39.99. And all you need to use is the promo code Carter. That's CARTER, $39.99. And remember, this is about supporting Mike Lindell. He's not afraid to stand up to the government, neither should you. Go to mypillow.com and click on the radio listener square, enter the promo code Carter, or call 1-800-685-7221. While you're there, take advantage of the deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets and MyPillow premium pillows. Get your MyPillow 6-piece towel set for only $39.99, only with the promo code Carter. Call 1-800-685-7221 or visit mypillow.com today. Now, you all know about Luis Elizondo. He is the former director of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. He is a great American. He has spoken out about a very sensitive subject, one that we now know and has been proven to known to be true, which is unidentified aerial phenomena in our skies. We don't have an answer to what it is, but we don't know what it is. And that is why the government is investigating it. And that's why the government has been investigating these sightings for decades now. But remember, when people used to talk about it, when pilots would talk about it, or someone would say they saw a sighting, they would be belittled. They would be ostracized. They would be made fun of. These whistleblowers put everything on the line, and many of them lost. Well, not anymore. Former DNI John Ratcliffe has admitted that we are monitoring these unidentified aircraft. Harry Reid has been a part of this program. He's a Democrat. Senator Harry Reid had a lot to do with this ATIP program coming to light. Senator Marco Rubio, he's fighting the good fight and he wants answers, and we haven't gotten those answers. And Lou Elizondo, who is standing up to the government and saying no more. The American people and the world deserve to make their own decisions for themselves. and they deserve to know the truth. We deserve to know the truth. Without any further delay, let's bring on Lou Elizondo. Lou, it's so great to have you back on the show. So much has happened since the last time we spoke. And I know that our listeners really want to know, particularly from your perspective, since the last report came out, where are we? Does the government still take this seriously? And what's happening with the UAP task force? So thank you for joining us.
Sarah, it is always my privilege to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Let's start by answering for your listeners what's happening. The first question you have. A lot is happening since the report came out and was provided to Congress. This 180-day report. There's subsequently new language from the Senate Armed Services Committee that requires a report to be provided to Congress every 90 days. That's first and foremost, I think, center stage. Secondly, I think what's very important here to remember is that there's still an IG, Inspector General, DOD Inspector General evaluation and a couple investigations that are ongoing. The results of those have not been made public because I'm not quite sure that they're finished with their efforts. It might be
talk about that a little bit, because let's remind everyone about these Inspector General reports. I mean, you really took the brunt from some people within the Department of Defense because you wanted to come forward and you believed that the American people and the world had a right to know about what was happening in our skies, right? And some people were not keen on that, and they actually threatened you.
Yeah, it's a shame. I'm not going to hold obviously the entire DoD or Department of Defense responsible for the rogue actions of a few people inside the department. The Department of Defense and the intelligence community are full of competent individuals whom I've had the honor and privilege to serve with. But you're right, there were some individuals that did not want this information coming out, and I'll share with you. I remember very distinctly a few years ago having had this if you will, this crisis of conscience, having to make a decision internally. Do I continue to toe the line and if you will, be loyal to my department and the bureaucracy, or do I maintain my loyalty to the American people? And ultimately, I had to make a decision. Usually, the two are synonymous. You're loyal to the bureaucracy, and it happens to be in the best interest of the American people. But in this particular case, regarding UAPs, the topic of UFOs, I guess, in the vernacular, I had to make a choice because the bureaucracy was not allowing the information to be reported to the right people so they can make the right decisions. And so I had to make a decision. Do I honor my commitment to the bureaucracy, or again, do I follow through on my promise to the American people to defend them from all enemies, foreign and domestic? And sometimes, this may sound counterintuitive, but sometimes I think a true patriot, in order to be a true patriot, has to do things that don't necessarily seem patriotic at the time. And that was the situation I found myself in.
I think that so many people have been struggling with that very, very subject, that idea of like, what does this mean? Do I come forward? I'm seeing it here at the border, Lou. You have Border Patrol agents, you have ICE officers, people that work in law enforcement that are struggling right now. Mm-hmm. What do I do? Do I stay loyal to the bureaucracy, or do I tell the American people what's really going on? Yeah. You made the very difficult choice. It's a tough choice to come forward, be a pseudo whistleblower of sorts, to say, look, we need to get this truth out there. How important do you believe the truth is to the American people about what is happening in our skies, and particularly to the military personnel that have confronted these UAPs or these UFOs and have been put in a very difficult position because they need to report them, but then they feel that, the government turns on them?
Yeah, well, I mean, ultimately, you said it yourself, right? The truth is the truth, and that's our commitment. And in fact, it tends to be the moniker of the Central Intelligence Agency, right? So the truth shall set you free. Truth and freedom are one and the same. You can't separate the two. So if you want to have freedom in a country, you have to, by necessity, have truth. You have to be seeking the truth. And whether it's a border crisis where our fine men and women in uniform are trying their best to do their jobs, or it's a topic about our fighter pilots in the skies coming face to face with a technology we still don't know what it is. Ultimately, that we still have to pursue the truth. That is our commitment, especially in the intelligence community. There have been times where we haven't necessarily maintained 100% commitment to the pursuit of truth, and it's gotten us into a lot of trouble.
Right. And not only that, it changes our trajectory if we don't understand the truth. It could change everything. And you're right, getting us into trouble is the one big problem, but it never seems to resolve itself. I wanted to talk a little bit about the UAP task force directives for fiscal year 2022. For those
Excellent.
those task force directives, I mean, they are solidifying that what you are saying, what people in the military are saying that have come forward, those whistleblowers, is true. There is something in our skies that we do not understand, that we do not know, that has interfered with our nuclear facilities, our nuclear sites, and our military. And that by appearances and by the collection of evidence and data that you've been able to see for yourself and that scientists have been able to obtain, do not match any type of technology that is here on Earth that we know.
That is certainly the case in certain incidents. I want to be very mindful as we look to the skies more. There's going to be more things that we see, and some of those will have prosaic explanations. I also, for example, the 3 videos that came out the last 3 years. Those are 3 of the what I would consider least compelling videos that we had access to in the Pentagon, but it got the conversation going. I think as we continue to look at this topic, we're going to realize that it's not just us that's having this issue. There are other countries, and by the way, some of those countries aren't necessarily friendly to the United States, and they're taking this topic very, very seriously. And I think when that part of the story comes out and people realize how significant other countries are indeed taking this topic, it's going to be a wake-up call. And that's why I want to applaud both the conservative and liberal folks in our Congress who've decided to take this topic seriously and
Who
not
are the
make
best?
this.
Who are the best at Congress right now that you're
Oh,
seeing
my
that are taking the
goodness.
lead? Is it Senator Marco Rubio? Is it
Yeah, let me
who
give you a
else?
short list, if I may, and it's on
Right.
both sides. So, we all know about Senator Marco Rubio leading the charge on this, and that's very commendable. This is a guy who's not afraid to take on hard topics, and he should be commended for that. But then you also have folks like Senator Harry Reid. He was the original
Right.
sponsor of this and the Senate Majority Leader at one point, and he is a true hero regarding this topic because he put a lot on the line, just like Marco Rubio did. Then you have, for example, Congressman Tim Burchett out of Tennessee, who recently said in a statement that this is a topic we need to look at. These are people who are career politicians. They've got a lot to lose, and I don't want to say but as a whole, politicians tend to be risk averse. They don't like to quote unquote rock the boat. So the fact that they're doing this, another one is Mark Warner. The fact that they are looking at this topic seriously, and there's many others, by the way, who I haven't named yet. Obviously, I want to keep this short, but these folks, I think they deserve our respect, and they're doing what's right for America.
Yeah, because this is a nonpartisan issue.
It
I
is,
mean, this is about
absolutely.
every single one of us. And, I think things have changed. How would you say they have changed from when they were reported on in the past, UAPs, UFOs, to having these leaders in both our government as well as in the military, people like yourself? I consider you a leader in this and at the forefront of this story, of this information. How do you think that's changed the perspective on the way the media is handling this subject? Do you
Sure.
think it's gotten better?
Well, I do, and I'll tell you, in the face of adversity, that's when you see the true, if you will, ethos of heroes. And people often say, Lou, you're a hero. Actually, I'm not a hero in this because I know that because I've worked with heroes, and I've been lucky enough and privileged enough to work with real heroes. So I'm not a hero, but I will tell you that there are heroes stepping up, and those heroes are stepping up not just in Congress, as we just mentioned, not just in the skies, if you will, flying our most advanced aircraft. They're coming out. You have people in the executive branch that are finally taking lead on this effort like they should. They're the heroes. And then people in the media such as yourselves. There are people that have decided to risk a lot of their reputation and credibility to follow this topic, no matter where it may lead. And that also deserves a tremendous amount of credit. People like you that are willing to have this conversation, put it out there, and to hell with the naysayers, right? Let's just have an intellectual conversation.
Well, because there is something there. We don't know what it is. We are trying to figure out what it is, and we should be paying attention, and we should be listening to people that are experts, and particularly the pilots, the people that have witnessed this, like off the USS Nimitz, and others who have actually seen it with their own eyes, and describing very similar types of crafts or vehicles that people saw 50 years ago or 60 years ago.
Right.
I mean, there's something about this that we need to be asking those questions, or we'd be the fools. But you did say something that I actually picked up on. You said the last 3 videos that everybody's been talking about, and we all know this is the Tic Tac videos and everything else that's been out there publicly, but you said you made it seem like those were just some of what is an all-encompassing, I'm guessing, collection of videos I'm taking that are coming that the military or that our U.S. intelligence agencies have possession of. Would I be right?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And part of my effort now, without going into a whole lot of detail, is trying to get people in Congress, people in leadership roles in the Department of Defense access to those videos. Now, let's not forget that a recent statement by the Pentagon indicated that all my emails and files had been deleted. Despite the requirement to keep them indefinitely, someone found there was no significant historical value to keep my records.
But isn't there a backup? Isn't there a backup for a backup for a backup? They've got to be there, just like Peter Strzok,
Sarah,
and Lisa Page. They've got to be there somewhere.
Sarah, nothing's ever truly deleted, and we all know that. And that's what's so silly about a statement like that. So those files are there. Not only are they there, I've sent numerous emails and information to other people that were partnering with ATIP at the time. So even if one were to try to delete all my stuff, it's still out there. And so my hope is that
let's stop right there. The fact that they want to delete it, the fact that they took the time to delete everything, apparently, so that we can't have access and that you can't have access to government records, which by law, by the way, folks, under FOIA, people should be able to ask. You can't just delete government records. That you can't just do that. There's a backup.
By the way, you paid
for
it with your taxpayer money. You paid for that information, and so I frankly think that the American people deserve it. They deserve to know what their money paid for, and to know the results of the questions that were being asked, and to simply make a unilateral decision to wipe all my information and those of ATIP and other efforts I was working on. Which, by the way, in some cases are protected by a court order that they cannot be deleted, and yet it turns out that those files were deleted too.
Who holds them accountable, Lou?
I think the American people. I think we need to, and this is why I said before. I said a little bit tongue in cheek, but not really. At some point, if I gotta put my boots back on and run for elected position, maybe in Congress, I would do it, because this is indicative of a bigger problem. If they're going to do that with my files, then they're going to do it with other people's files as well, and that's problematic, because that goes against the beginning of the discussion, right? We talk about truth and freedom. You can't have freedom without truth. And if it turns out that someone's trying to hide the truth, then they're directly responsible for infringing upon our freedoms. And I think that's important. I think we as American people need to hold them accountable.
You're absolutely right. And if anything, over the last several years, especially during my reporting, not only obviously on the UAP situation or UFOs, but particularly my work following the bureaucracies over the last 5 or 6 years, and I'm not going to get into all of that. When it comes down to it, who holds the bureaucracy accountable? We have our lawmakers. They're supposed to have oversight over all of these institutions. They're being held back. The institution itself is kind of taken over. And in the end, it's the Department of Justice or the Inspector Generals or, the heads of the DOD. Nobody is being held accountable for breaking what was considered, basic fundamental rules to keep our nation operating honestly.
Right.
And I think
Sarah,
that's
let's not
very
forget
dangerous.
that you're absolutely right. Let's not forget that it is the government's job to serve the will of the American people, not the other way around. And when you get a chance to meet people who have sacrificed so much for their countries, and your husband's extremely humble, but I'm just going to say it like it is. Your husband's a national hero. I know that because I've had the honor and privilege of meeting him personally. I know the organizations he was involved with and the type of missions he did. He is a true American hero, and he gave up so much for his country, and you did too, as a supporting spouse, and of course your kids.
Right.
And to see that there are elements within an apparatus, in this case the government, that is not necessarily, if you will, embodying that ethos, right? That core
Right.
value. That's a problem, because that makes the sacrifices of people like your husband, it's basically done in vain. And that,
Right.
for me, is the most egregious part of all this, that there are people who have given up so much. Some people have given up everything in the pursuit of freedom and truth. And it's not just a buzzword. I mean, when you're on the battlefield, that's life and death.
That's right.
And some people don't hold themselves accountable to that same thing, and will abuse the system. And so that's part of my problem.
I know. And I got to tell you, Lou, I know I only have a few minutes with you that you have to run, but I got to tell you, that is the biggest struggle for all of us. And that's why I wanted you on the show, because I really feel that not only are we battling a bureaucracy, but we're battling a system that's trying to silence people that are trying to get the truth out, people that are standing up for liberty and freedom, and people that are just trying to get the truth out in order to protect us. You brought up a very important fact. And before I go, I want to give you an opportunity to say whatever you need to say, but I also want you to address this. There are other nations that are highly hyper-focused on finding out what is going on in the skies. This is very serious, folks. This isn't something that Lou and I are just making up. They are very serious about it. And can you talk a little bit about who some of those nations are?
Yeah,
And what that entails for us.
Yeah, so the news hasn't been broken yet, but I suspect at some point it will. That there are other nations out there, again, some not necessarily friendly to the U.S., that have not only historically taken this topic seriously, but are putting a lot of resources behind it right now. So, for example, China has announced its 5 continents initiative, where they are trying to create a scientific body to study this topic. Now, that may sound great, except for that they also potentially may control the narrative, right? And when you get to the international stage, like the United Nations, I don't believe one country alone should be driving the narrative on any type of conversation, especially if some of those countries may be looking to possibly reverse or engineer or exploit technology for the purposes of weapons development. Again, I know to some people may say, well, is that realistic? Well, time will tell. Keep your eyes and ears peeled to the media, because you may be surprised.
I think that's a little bit of a hint, folks out there, for something that might be coming our way. And that's a pretty daunting piece of news, because if we are not in the lead here, if we are not keeping our eyes and ears peeled as the public, if our government's not doing that, and our government's not working cooperatively to get to the truth, what do you think we should do now? Where do you see it going now? I'm going to be bringing you back on again and again, because I know you're for most of my listeners out there, I think you are the most important guest I have on, because people listen to you, they write me, they take this seriously, they watch these episodes over and over again, and they listen to these episodes. What is the advice that you would give to just regular folks, Lou? You said we need to speak up. What do we need to do?
Well, I think your listeners are doing it. I think they're writing their representatives in Congress. They're having conversations around the water cooler. They're not being dismissive. Maybe they're having conversations around the dinner table, and ultimately trying to figure this out and what this means for all of us. Because at the end of the day, Sarah, I'm not sure I necessarily want the U.S. government. If it turns out, we're looking at this from a national security perspective, but if it turns out there's more facets to this than simply a national security, issue, I'm not sure I want the government making a decision for me on what this means to me, whether it's
Right.
psychologically or theologically or philosophically. And that's a conversation we, the people, need to have with ourselves. And I don't think we need to be relying upon our government to make that decision for us. We need to take control of that topic ourselves and make the determination ourselves what it means to us. I think your listeners are obviously very sophisticated. They are going to be very discerning. My recommendation would be to always ask hard questions. Be very careful with anybody who says that they have a definitive answer of what this is, because we don't, and that includes people in the government. And that'd be my advice.
I think that's great advice. And I absolutely agree with you. We are smart enough to make our own decisions. And that's why our founding fathers established such an awesome republic, because they believed in the American people, right, Lou? And that's why we fight.
Absolutely.
And that's why my husband fights. That's why you've been on the front lines fighting. That's what we do. And we got to continue to defend that, guys. And we've got to do that. We've got to do that because we are smart enough to make those decisions for ourselves and for our family. Thank you so much, Lou, for being on the show. I can't wait to have you back on.
Always a
I feel like
pleasure.
there's just never enough time. Like, I just want to talk to you for like 5 or 6 hours. I promise you, one of these days, I'm just going to show up at your house and we're going to have a barbecue. Your wife's going to be
Hey,
like, what the heck?
anytime, Sarah. I've got a great barbecue here, and you and your family are always welcome.
Thank you so much, Lou. You have a great day, and God bless.
Great. God bless. Thank you.
So, I just got off the phone with a very good friend. Felt like they were family for me. When I was there, I spent a lot of time in Afghanistan on the road, and I trusted them with my life. And I really did. I really did. And they were always there for me. And this family is a wonderful family. They're from the north of Afghanistan. The Taliban's just basically taken over most of northern Afghanistan. And now the Taliban's very close to Kabul. So many years our soldiers have fought. We've lost lives. We've lost limbs. And those relationships that we built there with a few really good Afghan people, very good. I can't even describe it. They're just like us. I mean, in so many ways, even the culture is similar. I mean, in so many ways, and they were so welcoming to me. And now, they trusted us, they worked with us, and now they're being abandoned and they don't know if they're going to get out. And so I was just on the phone with my friend, and they were saying that the Taliban's very close to Kabul right now, that they're terrified if they'll be executed. And it's going to cost, even to get smuggled out, it's like $20,000 a person. And they just don't have it. How much time do you guys have left before the Taliban takes Kabul?
We have not any way to go out from Afghanistan. They will kill us. We don't have any other chance.
So you're saying that there's no other choice. The Taliban will kill you if they get to your house.
The Taliban come down to Kabul, there is no chance to be alive because there is no any way to escape from Kabul. All around the province are taken by Taliban.
Let me ask you this. How much money do you guys need to get out and get smuggled into Pakistan?
20,000, maybe more than 20,000.
Is that how much they're charging? $20,000 to smuggle people out?
Yeah, it's about $28,000. Maybe that will just make out a flight to Pakistan. Right now, we don't have anywhere from ground to go here. We must take a visa and flight out to Pakistan, and we have to take
oh my gosh. Let me ask you this, my friend. How close is the Taliban to Kabul right now? How close? Are they in District 2? Are they moving around? Is the government going to run?
Yeah, the government will escape from everywhere. Just the Taliban come down around Kabul, inside the village of Kabul, like Shakar. That are like here or there, near inside the Kabul. Just the circle is too much close.
Okay. Everyone's okay, right? The children, everyone, right?
Right now, everyone is okay. Just we are waiting what happened for us. Just we are looking for us for that. What happened for us? We don't have any other chance. Just we are waiting for what happened for us.
My heart's breaking. I wish I could get to Afghanistan right now. I feel they would kill me if I go in, though.
Don't try to come down to Kabul or Afghanistan. Don't try either.
Okay. I'm very sad. I care a lot about you guys, and just stay safe, okay? I just don't understand how we do this. Sources will not want to work for the United States if we abandon them this way. I mean, the US government says they're going to bring them out, but I know so many people that spent years working for the United States in the military and with journalists and and they did everything that an American should do. They defended our soldiers, and now they're looking at losing their lives. This could be like another, Saigon moment or something, but far worse. The Taliban will take no prisoners. They will slaughter them. And my heart's broken. I don't know what I can do. They don't want me to go to Afghanistan. And my family doesn't want me going there. I don't think there's anything I could do for them, even if I did go back. All we can do is just pray and keep pressuring our government to let the good guys in. I mean, we're the ones walking away right now. We're the ones walking away. Anybody who provided intelligence to the United States government, if they did work, that they would have a good chance of getting to the US because that's what they were told. I can tell you that because I was there. And I heard people say that. They should be the first in line to come to the United States. They should not be used as propaganda by the Taliban and being slaughtered in some soccer stadium inside Afghanistan, because Kabul will fall. There is no way Afghanistan is going to survive this, and they'll lose their lives. You guys just got to pray for them. That's all we got to do. Thank you so much for being a part of the Sara Carter Show. This has been a tough show all the way around. I think we need to keep our eyes on the prize. We need to keep talking the truth. We need to focus on what's important to us, protecting our freedoms, standing up for what's right. And remember, this is the greatest nation on earth. Not only do we have people coming from all over the world trying to come through our borders, they're coming here for a reason, folks, because where they're from, it stinks. Life is tough. Life is hard. This is the greatest nation on earth. We've got to protect her. We've got to fight for her. We've got to stand up for our freedoms and our liberties. And we've got to believe in ourselves more than we believe in a government. And then we're going to have a successful nation. The minute we give that up, we lose everything. And let me tell you this, there is no place to go. This is it. This is the only place right here, the United States. Thank you so much for being a part of the Sara Carter Show. God bless you, and God bless our nation.
Today, I'm joined by Rebecca Weber, the CEO of the Association for Mature American Citizens. It's also known as AMAC. Explain the differences. What makes AMAC superior to AARP beyond the fact that we don't agree with their leftist ideology?
What makes us so unique is that we truly do take our marching orders from our membership. Before we go out and about and advocate for any issue, we do consult with our AMAC members, and we do that through a variety of ways. But that really makes us very different, where AARP stood in support of Obamacare, even though their membership was largely against. AMAC will stand in support of our membership. In addition, Sara, we offer benefits. We offer benefits just like the AARP. Ours are better because we offer choices. For example, you can call AMAC for your Medicare, and we're not going to do a one-size-fits-all one plan. The AARP endorses United Healthcare, whereas AMAC has its own trusted in-house licensed insurance advisors that are working for AMAC, stand for our mission of faith, family, and freedom, and then go about offering real choices. We do a lot of things like that I think make us very different and make us, quite frankly, better.
Rebecca, thanks so much for being with me today. I'm honored to have you and AMAC as a sponsor for the Sara Carter Show. For more information, folks, visit amac.us/Carter.